everybody, and welcome to this 3Shape TRIOS Implant Scanning webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been very excited to do this webinar for you today. My name is Johanna Carlson. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Implantology here at 3Shape. And with me today, I have Dr. Jan Paulix.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again.
So as you can see here, we've got a short agenda for you today. Just a very brief look at the 3Shape Implantology ecosystem. And then Jan, you're going to go through the analog versus digital implant impressions and what is what there. And last but not least, of course, we're going to look specifically at TRIOS implant scanning with the 3Shape scan bodies. You will give us some great tips and also do a live demo.
Yeah, I think it's time to look at this for real and see how it could work in the practice or the clinics out there. So welcome, everybody.
Yeah. If you have any questions at the end where we have a little time for some question and Q&A session.
But first we have something new that we didn't do before, a poll.
Yeah, so we are interested in learning just a little bit about who we're actually talking to today. So first of all, we wanted to know if you're using an intraoral scanner today. So you should be seeing on your screen a little quick poll where you can select either that you're using a TRIOS, if you're using a competitor intraoral scanner, or if you're not using a scanner today.
So find your right answer, click it fast, and we can see the numbers rising. Yeah. And then we will close the poll and see the result. Yeah. So very good.
I'm just going to give people a couple more seconds to find the right answer. And of course, the reason for us asking this today is that it's interesting for us to see the split in terms of who are digital today and who are not, and also helping us to determine other webinar topics going forward, so we know a little bit about who's interested in hearing from us in these webinars, who you are, and then from there, of course, we can plan some other topics that would be interesting for you guys.
So let's close the poll. It seems that everybody's ready, and then look at the results. So this is interesting.
Yep, definitely. So we see here that we have a lot of our current customers online today. That's awesome, and nobody using a competitor.
Yeah, that's really good. But actually, a lot of non-scanning or digital dentists, maybe digital in the lab, but not in the intraoral sense.
Yeah. So that's also great to see, and thank you, of course, everybody for joining. We hope that this webinar will be of value to both groups.
So let's see. If you close the poll, I will continue with the presentation. And then we have something about our ecosystem at 3Shape. What can we say about that?
Well, just briefly, for everybody to know, we have a lot of solutions within 3Shape that can cater for different implant treatments that you do. And we are quite confident in saying that it is the strongest digital implantology ecosystem on the market today. One of the reasons why we're saying this is that obviously, or you should possibly know that this is an open system. So that's a huge advantage for you guys, that we partner with a lot of different partners. We have integration with 3D printers, with milling machines, with implant manufacturers, implant libraries in our systems, which means that you're not locked into any specific workflow or any specific software or hardware. So it's an open system, and that of course means it's much more flexible for you guys.
And it's even so open. So, for example, for our implant studio, we can even import third-party scans and CBCTs from other manufacturers and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Another benefit from being in our ecosystem is that we are on a shared platform when it comes to TRIOS and the software apps you can add to your TRIOS scanner, which means, of course, it's a smoother experience for you guys. So there's no kind of in and out of systems. Once you get to our lab site, you can make use of our 3Shape Communicate service, where you can easily send cases back and forth to your lab site. So also one of the benefits of going with 3Shape is the smooth integration between our software and hardware systems.
Very good. Let's see what we have more.
Yeah, so normally when we look at the TRIOS Implantology solutions, we're talking about solutions before surgery in terms of planning your treatment and enabling guided surgery for a great treatment experience. And then we're also talking about the restorative workflow after the surgery. And this is, of course, what we'll be focusing on today, about doing your implant scanning with the TRIOS and the 3Shape scan bodies.
Very good. And of course, we can always recommend the webinars that we have done before on implantology and planning and creating the surgical guides. You find them on YouTube, on our community, and also on the corporate homepage. So talking about implant impression and picking up the position of the implant. So this is how we used to do it. We place a scan top or a scan flag or a pickup system on our implant, and then we use some kind of tray to actually transport this information and the positions to the laboratory. Most of the systems today, they have a long pickup system, so we need to destroy the impression tray to actually be able to detach the pickup later on after setting and so on. So this is of course costly, it takes time, it requires a good amount of stamina, let's say, from the dentist, because this can give you a lot of stress. But it also demands a lot of good skills. You have to work together with your assistant to get this done. So this is one of the excitement points, let's say, or times during the day when taking this implant impression. It's not very relaxing. We need to do it well. If we don't succeed, we need to redo the full bridge again. So this we all know. But how can we look at this if we do it digital instead? Well, today, with the TRIOS and with scanning the jaw and the teeth intraorally with the scanner, we actually pick up the information from the teeth very accurate. And we can also pick up the information about the implant position the same way. To do this, we need to have some kind of scan body that will show the angle, the height, the rotation of the implant to the scanner. And that is actually with the scan body. And what can we say about the scan body itself, Johanna?
Yeah, so 3Shape earlier this year we launched our own proprietary scan bodies. And why are we doing this? Well, first of all, we saw that it was quite it could be quite confusing for dentists and labs to figure out which scan bodies had been used and which libraries that the lab could then work with once they wanted to do the design of the final restoration. Because we have original manufacturers on the market, we have third-party manufacturers up on the market of implant systems and libraries, and they don't speak together, or how you can say it. So if you're using a scan body from an original manufacturer, the lab couldn't use the library from a third-party manufacturer. Our scan bodies, we work with all the different major implant manufacturers, both original and third-party, to incorporate our scan body files into their libraries. That means that the lab can decide from the cells which library they want to use. And they're also, now that we were doing scan bodies, we decided that we of course wanted to do the best ones that we could do. We decided to make them out of titanium, so they are accurate in terms of not being prone to bending if you happen to over torque them. Also, you can put them in the autoclaver up to 100 times, reuse them without losing their accuracy. They're also visible in X-ray scans, which means you can verify the fit to the implant. So at the end, you're sure that you have a the most precise outcome possible for the restoration design. Last but not least, we put a little ID code on them to make the whole scanning process faster. When you scan our 3Shape scan bodies with the TRIOS scanner, the system will automatically detect the implant system and connection and put that into the order form. And I have a little snippet showing you how this is going to look. This is a feature we're working on now, and it's going into beta soon, and we're planning to launch it in the first half of 2019. It will come as an automatic upgrade to your TRIOS software.
And this actually transports the information of which implant is in the bone to the order form.
Yes, exactly.
So the lab can see immediately, because I know that working in a clinic, you have all the stress we talked about before taking this impression, and then you should also remember to write down the correct name of the implant. Sometimes you forget that. You can also write the wrong name or the wrong system or the wrong platform, let's say, narrow instead of regular and so on. So there are many manual errors to be omitted by actually using this automatic ID code as well. Very good. Thank you for that.
And looking just very briefly on the workflow before we get on to some tips and live demo. In the clinic, you prepare your order form, you scan with TRIOS and 3Shape scan bodies, you send the case to the lab. So pretty straightforward, easy workflow. In the lab, you receive the order, you go in and select your implant library that you need to use. That's in the order form from the dentist. Then there is some aligning of the scan body, the surface scan file with the library file that you have in your lab software. And then once you've aligned those two, you can actually design and produce the final restoration very accurately and with a good fit and function at the end.
So, time for another poll.
Yes, why not? So if you are actually using an intraoral scanner today, we'd like to know if you are also using it for implant scanning. So either, yes, you are using it for implant scanning today, or you're still analog when you're doing implant impressions, or of course, if you don't have an iOS, you would not be applicable for this question here. So people are starting to vote. I can see that's great. Just give you a couple more seconds to make your choice.
So we can see that using intraoral scanner for implant scanning is actually taking the lead, coming strong on the stretch. We also have all our guests that are not using intraoral scanning today taking the second place, and not many still using the analog. So I think we can close our poll there, and then let's look at the result. So very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, definitely. So it's good to see that, of course, you guys that already have the scanner, you are also using it for implant scanning. And we have some on the line that are looking to get into that. And that's, of course, why you're here today. And yeah, of course, we have a group that does not have the scanner, as we saw earlier in the previous poll. Okay, thank you for your answers here.
So let's see if we can convince the last 13% of also starting to use the intraoral scanner for picking up the implant position as well.
Right.
So, sorry. Before we go into the live demo, there are things, some things I'd like you to note and to remember when scanning for the implant position. And of course, you can also always buy the 3Shape scan bodies, but there are also other scan bodies or scan flags or scan abutments on the market, and they all look different. The common thing when scanning them is that you need to scan the top of the scan body all around, so we can see all surfaces, and especially the flat surface. So on the two to the right, we can see that you have the 3Shape scan body with the ID code, and it has a flat side on it. I will show you later when we have the camera on. And also on the other third-party scan bodies, we also see the flat side that we need to scan. And this is because the flat side will tell you how the hex is rotated in the bone, so which part goes buccal and so on. So it's important to do that.
I actually have a question from the audience, what we think about scan bodies from the implant manufacturers.
We know that most of them do them out of PEEK, so some kind of harder plastic. And PEEK has a very good function. It's easy to scan, it resembles enamel and so on, so very easy to pick up. But as soon as you have used it a few times, you actually wipe it off so you can use it more times. And then it loses its corner and sides. Also, if you store it in a drawer or something else, it will be edged off and it will be blunt. So all these sharp edges that you actually need for the rotation and the angle and so on for the implant, they will soon go away. and then you have to buy a new scan body for that one. So that is why I was happy to see that the 3Shape scan body now is out of titanium, which is of course stronger. And we all know that every time we autoclave it, it will actually go back to its initial shape, just like our root canal files and so on. So it's a very good material to actually use in the mouth and to autoclave.
Right.
Let's look on how this could look in the mouth. When we have placed the scan bodies, it's important to scan the top and to see all the sides of the scan body itself. Of course, it's easier to scan the ID code if we put it in a way so it's easy for the scanner to pick up, like to the buccal side, for example, not looking at the adjacent teeth, the contact point, or actually leaning into soft tissue or something. So to remember to place this one so you can actually see it easily with the scanner when scanning the ID code and so on later on. So let's go into demo. Let's move over in our software. I will turn on the software itself that you all know, and then also add an intraoral camera here. Sorry, extraoral camera it is. So here we can see our model that most of you have seen on the market. It's a normal Frasaco models. Of course, there are other models too on the market. And here we have a noble implant, noble replace, and we will scan this position here. But before going there, I want to show you the different sides of the scan body. So here you can see actually the flat side where the ID code is positioned. So this should always go buccal, or as buccal as possibly. Then there are some other curves and grooves and so on, and all this makes it very easy for the scanner and later for the software in the lab to actually align this one with the library analog from the manufacturer in the lab software. So everything looking at making it as easy for you and also for the lab technician. So it's titanium and it's has a nice golden surface, so it's easy to scan by the scanner itself. So let's start here. What we need to do, of course, when we scan a patient, we need to create a new case. I'm now working in Dental Desktop, the new one platform solution that actually covers most softwares today. And for you that are curious about the future, yes, also the lab software will come into Dental Desktop in the future. It's no secret, and it's good because then we have one solution for everything. Here I choose if I want to send it to an external lab or if I want to use it in-house, for example. I choose my tooth. I could see down here that I'm actually scanning on 4-6, so I will mark that tooth. And then it's time to tell the software what to expect. I will request a screw-retained crown, but as you can see, I can also choose to have an abutment and then a separate crown if I want to cement my design, for example. But I'm choosing a screw-retained. I'm using Nobel as my manufacturer because I know it's Nobel. As you can see, we have many more, of course, in the library. So most of the systems today on the market are already in. This is a replace system. We have the full Nobel library. So everything Nobel has ever produced and will produce will, of course, be in the software. So the old Brownie marks and so on. Connection. This one is a regular platform. So I will choose RP. And then I will choose what I want my screw-retained crown to be made of. I want a tie base and I want it zirconia based, so that is what I will choose.
And just as a side note here, of course, what we talked about earlier with the auto recognition of the scan bodies coming next year, this is where this really comes into play, where you won't actually have to choose the system and the connection here, because the scanning will automatically pick up on that.
Yeah, very good. So we save another minute there. Yeah. So it's really good.
I have a question from the audience. In the order form, can you see the tooth numbers? the teeth numbers.
Yes. So here we can see that there are no tooth numbers, so it's just blank. But we can actually go in, if I just go back to the settings, I can actually go in to more and settings, and then I go into general and I go into order form. In order form, there's a button for tooth numbering. So let me just find that one.
It's right there.
Is it there? Well,
Yeah.
can you point on it? I'm totally blind.
It's already
there.
marked.
It's already marked. So let's turn it on and turn it off again and see if it pops up now.
Yeah, I think it was there before. I think you just need to hover over the 3D model.
The thingy. Let's see. I go to order form. And now it's there also without hovering. Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's in the software. You can toggle it on or off. And of course, this being now FDI, of course, you can have UNN or Headerup or any other system you want to use, also visible here for your assistant to actually point to the correct one. Now, one of the benefits with Dental Desktop, we actually see what we are getting here. So no more blue outlines or hard to read, but actually very easy to see the implant and the crown, what we are doing. So let's go on with scanning. To the right side here, you can see that emergence profile has been pre-selected for us. And this is because we want to scan and also see how the soft tissue has been shaped by the healing abutment. And we want to pick up that information for the lab to use as well. So as normal with the 3Shape software and Dental Desktop, when we know what we have and we see and we like what we see, we click next. So it's time to scan. And here now, I will scan in the lower jaw just as it says on the screen. I will try to tilt my model here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm scanning, actually pointing and having almost full contact with the teeth. I will scan a quadrant here for speed. I go lingual. I follow the normal scan strategy. So first occlusal, then lingual, and then buccal. And I scan everything I need. After scanning the teeth, I can go back and I can find the contact points. So they are perfect. The mesial one and the distal one. Perfect. Very good. And then I turn it off. So now we have our lower jaw with all the information for our crown and implant crown to be created. Here now, the software asks me to mark the tooth, but actually, let's say that this is the patient, the real patient, and now we would actually have a cover screw or a healing abutment or something else covering the implant. So what I would do is actually go ahead and I would trim away. So trim away this area and then I will rescan that area. So let's see what happens here. I thought I had some kind of misalignment. Yes, so there's a misalignment because of the different sizes of the screen here. Let me just go and enhance this one. Let's see what happens. So now if I trim, it should be trimming on the right position. Still the same one. So let's cancel that one. So what we are doing then is we are trimming away the healing cap, and then we can scan for the emergence profile. This gives us no stress at all, so we can easily find the emergence profile, we can scan it before it starts to bleed, and then we can go into our tools, and then we can actually lock the surface so nothing will happen on this one. Again, it's drawing on some other place here.
You need to move your cursor a little bit to the far.
Yeah, I need to take it here. So we are actually,
Exactly,
yeah. So now it's locking this area. So I'm locking the emergence profile so nothing happens.
I think the GoToWebinar might be making tricks on us.
So let me show you how this looks in black and white. So now you can actually see the area here where I cannot rescan on top. So even if the soft tissue now collapses here, or there is bleeding starting or something else, nothing will change on the scan itself. So a very relaxing and very unstressful way to do this one. I will say done. I will turn the color on again. And then I go to the next step. And that is actually scanning for the scan body. So again, on the live feed you have in the lower, it's time to place the scan body. And always place it freehand or with a pair of tweezers, not with the screwdriver inserted. Because if you do it like this, you might actually, when you go in, so let's see if I go back to this, first that one, and then also the video, very good. We might actually be forcing it into the wrong position. So always place it freehand, because when you put it inside the implant, you can actually feel that it doesn't rotate. So it has reached the bottom and you can feel that one. Then you take your screwdriver and then you tighten it. And you tighten it steady, firm, not too firm. If you use a peak or something else, you might break it. But with titanium, of course, it's very robust, so it will not break. So now we have our scan body in position, and if you like, depending on your own strategy of working, you can now take an internal X-ray to see that this actually is perfectly seated on top of the implant. So now it's time to scan the implant position. So what I do here is that I need to start the scanner again. And now it sees the implant itself. I see we didn't jump over to the next step. So we should mark the tooth. And after marking the tooth, the software lets us come in. So I'm seeing that we're having some kind of struggle with the setup. So actually being difficult to continue. So
would it help to go back?
Yeah, let's go back and say done here. And we go back to this one. So we are there. Now we continue to the next one. It should actually be open for scanning. So let's just do like we do in the practice. So let's see, do it now. Now if I mark the tooth, it should jump in there, and it doesn't. So let's do.
I think we might have a problem with the cursor and the
Yeah, I'm pointing to the wrong
screens and all
area.
that, yeah.
No worries. So we actually go in and make a new case. So we have everything here. Just a quick repetition. We take 4/6. We choose screw retain crown. Everything else is already pre-selected for us. Very good. We have the material. We have the connection, RP. Material is chosen, then we click next. Let me just rescan that lower jaw again. This time I will not go in and mark the emergence profile. So thank you for that. So again, scanning lingual, then buccal, going back to the tooth itself, scanning the contact point, initial one, the distal one again, and that's good. Marking the tooth. So here we have it, 4/6. Very good. So if I'm marking over here,
I don't know.
yeah, something. Oh yes. So it's really strange, this cursor. So that is why it didn't mark before. So sorry about the.
That way.
And I go that way and that way. That way. Let's say that's good enough. Cursor problem. So let's say and go on to next. And now it's time to scan the scan body. So again, I place the ID code to the buccal side. So if there is no straight buccal, of course I take what I have, so this is good enough. And then I will place and fixate, again firm. So we see it's in there. And now I should be able to scan the scan body itself.
And would this be the time I would do the X-ray if you wanted to?
Yes, so before scanning this, or actually you can scan and then do the X-ray, we do that to confirm the tight fit between the scan body and the implant. And because both of them are made out of titanium, we will actually have a white to white surface. So if there's no border between the scan body and the implant, there's a perfect fit. With peak from third party, we will actually not see it on the X-ray. So that's a good way to see it. So here we have it. We have our scan body. What we need now is the upper jaw and then the bite. But this you know all about already. So remember to remove the scan body before you take the bite. So let me just go ahead and scan the upper jaw. And you could see that we could see the scan body in the jaw, in the position there. So again, scanning upper and following the scan strategy. So in the upper jaw, we scan occlusal, buccal, and then on the palatal side. Closing all the holes and then stopping. Moving over to the bite. Asking the patient to close the mouth, place the scanner next to the teeth, like this, and then you ask the patient to smile a little bit. And we do this because then we know that the bite force is the same every time we take the bite. So if it's this year and next year, or if it's on the left side and the right side. So always ask the patient to smile a little, because it's so funny to scan. So yeah. So we start the scanner. It picks up the position of the two jaws. And even if it snaps together after just one tooth, continue to scan at least 4 teeth. So we have everything together with us. So we have the one jaw and then the other jaw, and then it snaps together. So we have the alignment, and you remember I removed the scan body before, otherwise you might need to do a crown also in the upper jaw. So here we see it. We have the upper, the lower, we have the implant, but there is no scan body in here. But you could remember that we took it over here. So let me show what happened. So when we actually go over and are ready to send this to the laboratory, we can see what is available there for us. So the case is being saved, and now we can go over and see the last step. So in here, we also have the position of the scan body. Of course, it goes into the tooth, so that is why it cannot be in the normal image. Let me remove this one. So scan with scan body, without, and if we're looking at the bite, well, the scan body cannot be in there. So this is everything the labs get. And from here, now they can use your normal tools with shade measurement, pick up the analog from the scan body and so on, and create a perfect implant crown for us. Very
nice.
good.
Well,
so, any questions we got about this, except the mouse matter? Yeah.
What's wrong with your cursor?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a question about scan bodies. If they are specific for each implant company or generic for different connection types. And they are specific for each implant company.
Yeah, they are. And a good thing is that, for example, now from 3Shape, we have the same top on all our scan bodies. But of course, the fit to the implant is different. And the third party that is out there, they also have the same top, but the fit is different. If you buy original implant scan bodies from the manufacturer, it will have their own top, So they might differ again. So it might be a lot to actually comprehend and to store in a clinic. So it's better to go for one that has them all, so you don't have to have different brands and models and so on.
Yeah. Another question about the emergence profile. Is that taken in the first scan or the second scan?
So there are two ways to do it. Either you go in and let me show you on the model. So either the first thing we do is to scan the emergence profile. Let's say I don't scan anything else, but I jump directly to my implant position. I scan my emergence profile, so I have removed the healing cap, I scan it and I lock it, and then I scan the rest of the mouth. That is good for a single implant. But if we are doing multiple implants, let's say we are doing 3 implants in a row, then it will be tricky to actually scan an emergence profile, hurry up to the next one before that one collapses and so on. So the better trick is actually to scan the jaw, the full jaw if necessary, or the quadrant depending on how much teeth you want in your model, and then you trim away the healing cap, you scan the emergence profile one by one, no stress, and then you go to the next step with the scan bodies, and you scan also the scan bodies one by one without any stress. So coming from the clinical side, one thing is doing it as a learning or teaching way, but actually from the clinic, we love when there is no stress.
Yeah.
So we can work precise, we can focus on the patient, we can focus on the quality, not the machine, the product or anything else. So that's the best way to do it. Scan the healing caps and everything as one, then remove the healing caps, scan the emergence profile, and place the scan bodies. Scan them all up or one by one.
Right. So follow-up question here is we would do that in the lower model scan rather than the lower model scan body scan.
Yes.
Exactly.
So because when you're scanning the lower body scan or any body scan, then you actually just look at the scan body and you look at the reference. How is this one positioned towards the model that we scanned first? So if you by mistake would actually scan the full jaw when scanning for scan bodies, you will have a lot of extra information that actually might destroy the accuracy. Okay. So the better thing is to scan the full jaw first, so you have everything, and then move over to the scan body step, and then only scan these in every position. So I scan here, then I stop scanning, I move my scan body if I don't have to, I position it on the second place, and I only scan that area. I don't have to scan in between.
Right.
So it's how it's related to the first scan model.
That's a good tip as well.
Hmm?
Right. I think we had... Yeah, there's a question about locking the scan and what that means and what it does. I don't know if we have time to actually see it again.
Yeah, let's look at that again.
A couple of minutes left.
Yes. So we haven't locked anything here, so go back and let's see if we can play with the mouse, because it behaves like 5 centimeters from where I'm actually am. Mm-hmm. So let me go in and see. We marked the tooth on the lower. So if I go in and I have a lock surface here, it's not active now. So let me see if I can clear this one. It's locked, so that is why I cannot do anything. There is actually a video on this on YouTube that is called the trim and lock tool. So it shows you how to trim away, and it also shows you how to lock and how that works in everything. So I would recommend going to YouTube, to the 3Shape channel, so youtube.com/3shape, and there you can find the trim and lock tool, and it explains very, very pedagogic how that one works.
Yeah,
and how
that's
should
probably a better option
yeah.
for now.
Yes.
If we can go back to the presentation, I think I just have one other slide to show, because as you mentioned, yeah, there's YouTube as a good repository for a lot of great training videos from 3Shape, from a lot of different things. We also have the 3Shape community, and one of our dentists are looking a little bit funny in this picture, but the 3Shape community is open for all 3Shape end users. So when you have a 3Shape ID, you can log on to the community. There's a forum in there to ask questions, get answers from your peers, but also 3Shape experts. We have the Knowledge Center with all the videos also available on YouTube are also in here, kind of collected in one place. Case studies you can read from other doctors. And yeah, just in general, a lot of inspiration to find in there about what you can do with 3Shape solutions and so on. And then part of what we in the implantology team we're working on now is that we are developing new best practice guides. Currently, you will find one on the community called Design and Production of Surgical Guides in-house, taking you kind of step by step what the best practice is for this treatment or indication. And this is based on input from a lot of different dentists out there that we've talked to that do this every day. We are working on right now a TRIOS implant scanning for single crown. So basically what we saw today, that will be available in a best practice PDF guide for you very soon in the next week or two. And we have a lot of other best practice guides that we're also working on. And we also, for instance, working on some edentulous best practice guides that will come, later this year, early next year, and so on.
Very good.
Yep.
So we are working a lot from 3Shape side about making a community and also building up the structure for you to be able to pick up and find the information from our side. But remember that all dentists using 3Shape products and TRIOS also have a community by itself on Facebook.
Yes, that's
so
right.
the TRIOS study club where you actually can go in, you can get tips and tricks from each other. If you ask a question there, often within 5-10 minutes you have a lot of answers. So it's a very good way to actually follow the market and see and learn from each other. And I often go in there and I monitor this Facebook group. I don't want to mix too much because that's a self-contained, let's say, growing by itself. But if we find something that is good and we find something that is not correct or need to be adjusted something, we make a webinar on it or we make a brief transmission or something about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think you should see the 3Shape community as a supporting platform for you together with the other study clubs and groups that are out there already. This is basically our way of also trying to collect all of the information that we have around our products, workflows and so on, so you can find it all in one place. But there are definitely also these great study groups out there already to take advantage of.
Yeah. Yes, very good. So we had some questions along the webinar, and I think that we have reached the end. Yeah, all of them. Very good.
There was one question about when you're in the order form and you select all of these different things, do you need to do all of that before you start scanning always?
No, so this is for scanning a specific implant. So let's say I only want to scan to compare this scan to another or to have it in my library as a model and so on, then I only choose scan only. I don't have to set everything up. Yeah. So it's only when I need to tell the lab what they actually should do. Yes. So like the order form we had on paper before.
All right, great. No, but then I think we're actually through the questions. We can leave the webinar open for a couple of minutes so you can put in your questions and we can answer them after the webinar via email. So for now, I just want to say thank you for joining us today and thanks for your great questions. There's a survey that will pop up once you finish the webinar. So if you want to give us a little bit of feedback, we would really appreciate it. And also if you have ideas for other topics you would like us to do in webinars, please feel free to write them in that survey.
Very good. So this is Jan and Johannes signing out from Copenhagen and 3Shape headquarters. Goodbye.